Welcome to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprofit.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey, and today we're doing our annual preseason award show where we have 5 categories each. We're going to try to pick MVP, breakout player, bounce back player, deep sleeper, and unexpected bust of the season. And I mean, we've had mixed results in the past doing this, right? I mean, I think last year our list looked pretty solid, but I won't mention my MVP. It was a terrible pick, and Jeff won't mention one of his breakout players. It was a terrible pick.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it at that. If you can find it somehow, good for you. I'm not telling you what I did.
4 out of 5, though. We're in the very close ballpark, so I feel good about it.
I feel good about my deep sleeper was Traquan Smith, and you know what? He had a couple relevant games. That's all you need from a deep sleeper. We're going really deep sometimes with these deep sleepers. So if they're relevant at all, I think it's a bonus. So we're gonna go over all that. Before we do that, make sure you guys go check us out on Twitter at the FF Profit or Instagram at Fantasy Football Profit. The website's fantasyfootballprofit.com, and you can always support this show as well if you go to Patreon, and we're patreon.com/fantasyfootballprofit there if you want to help us out. And check out YouTube too, youtube.com/fantasyfootballprofit. We always have more stuff going on YouTube as well. And first off, Jeff and I are just back from our main league draft the other day, over the weekend in
Nashville, Tennessee.
We don't need to mention mine, but how do you feel about your team? Pretty good? Solid?
Yeah, I feel good. I mean, it's an intense draft because obviously we have keepers, we have trading budgets, we have all this kind of stuff. So where we started off, especially where I started, I feel very, very good. I feel like especially I don't want to rejoice over injuries, but it looks like because of Lamar Miller, because of some other stuff that happened, I might have someone that could help me in the future. Obviously, someone that actually Craig talked about in the
league winners episode.
League winners.
I called Duke Johnson league winner, and hopefully you listened to my advice and weren't me and didn't listen to my own advice as I drafted Lamar Miller.
Yeah,
just half hour before.
Yeah. No, I drafted Duke Johnson, so that was fun to rub it in his face immediately.
Okay, Lamar Miller was cheap. It was just it's whatever. But all right, enough about that. But also have to mention, we are actually sponsored today again by MyBookie. They're back with us this year. After last year, we did our point spread picks every week last year. And, well, we weren't very good, I would say. We were very average. We weren't bad, right? We were just extremely average. So MyBookie is back on board this year with us. And we'll probably be doing some point spreads as we get into the season. But, no games yet this week for NFL. But if you want to go to mybookie.com, sign up and use the promo code PROFIT, you can definitely you get a bonus there if you deposit some money. And you can bet, how about go after the college games this weekend? We got college football starting this weekend. Jeff, you got your Spartans are big favorites this weekend. They should be, right?
Right. At least we have week 1.
You got who do they got this weekend? What is it? Is it Michigan's playing Middle Tennessee State, which they should hopefully win. Michigan State has Tulsa. Michigan State minus 23 at home against Tulsa. Are you going to bet that line there, or do you think that's?
You know what? We're never for rubbing it in.
Is that the case?
Yeah. We're gentlemen.
And that over under of 47.5. I just feel Michigan State. I just feel like it's going to be an under. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So if you want to bet on that game, I don't know if you really want to bet on that game. That one kind of feels boring, like all Michigan State games. Kind of a pointless team to watch. You can go watch Michigan Middle Tennessee State. That's a much better game.
Yeah, much more relevant.
Right? I mean, no, not really. Michigan's 34-point favorites in that one. Man, that should be 34-point favorites. They're going to be I say my favorite thing to do last year, I'd go to whatever game Oklahoma was playing and bet the over. It was money making. It was a money making machine last year. I mean, they don't have Kyler Murray this year, but looking at September 1, they're playing their first game against Houston versus Oklahoma. The over under 82.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean that
and I would still bet the over if it was last year. I'm betting the over in that Oklahoma
last
game.
year. That seems aggressive.
But if you want to go do that, go to mybookie.com, use the promo code PROFIT, and get in on the college football action this week, because we're just another week away from NFL, almost there. But all right, preseason awards time, Jeff. We're just going to start out with the best. We're going to start out with MVP. How about that? We're going to start out at the top and go down from there. So MVP 2019, who is your predicted MVP this year? And this, I mean, I don't know what you're picking here. This could mean a lot of things. You could pick a guy a little bit later and you're going to be the top, or you could pick a guy at the top. It's however you feel.
And honestly, I feel like I just had, for the MVP, I'm just straight up this year, I'm going to predict who I think is going to be the best fantasy player, and I got to go Saquon Barkley. I kept saying there was always, who should you take number one? I kept saying Barkley. I'm sticking to my guns. I think, there's the worry about the team. How good are the New York Giants going to be? Look, this guy was the second best running back last year as a rookie with a bad, Giants team. Maybe Eli has a fire kind of lit underneath him. Obviously, they're going to give him the ball a ton. I think that offensive line is a little bit better than it was last year because they have some guys back from injury. So I think Saquon is, no one's going to argue with me. I think he will be the MVP. But there are definitely some other guys. Did you go straightforward like me, or did you pick a guy later on because of the value?
Kind of a mix.
Okay.
I think it's pretty straightforward, but it's also some value. And it's Todd Gurley.
I like it.
It's a mixture for me. So I think he's still possibly the best running back in the NFL fantasy wise. And you can get him sometimes in the second round. I love it. I'm bored. Nothing about this preseason has thrown me off of this. I know there's a lot of people that are just extremely worried. And why they seem to be worried, it really seems to stem from the postseason last year and the Super Bowl and the Rams telling everyone he's going to play and then he didn't. I mean, what incentive did the Rams have to tell the Patriots, oh, hey, our top running back's not going to really play, so you guys don't worry about game planning for him? What incentive did they have for that? They had none. Of course they were going to say that he's going to play. They were going to let the Patriots game plan for him, and then, they knew he wouldn't quite be there. He didn't play at all this preseason, obviously, as expected. I think he's going to be great. Yes, the workload might be diminished some, but the knee is a worry. Like I've said a million times, I think more for the future. This isn't just something that's just ending his career right now. And you know what? Behind him, remember all that Darrell Henderson hype? Darrell Henderson really hasn't looked that great in preseason. Even this preseason game 3, which is really supposed to be like one of the, so a lot of times the tune-up, he had 11 carries for 28 yards. In the preseason, he's had 23 carries for 57 yards. That's not terribly impressive. I'm not that impressed with him. Malcolm Brown might be ahead of Darrell Henderson. Those two guys are not good enough to stop Gurley from getting a majority of the workload. Even if Gurley drops down to 65%, 70% instead of 90%, he's going to be great. Todd Gurley, MVP. Stop worrying about it so much, people.
Yeah. Yeah. You know how I feel about that. I think it's great. Saquon was so close to him that I still like the youth. You don't have to worry about the knee. But, the fact that he didn't fall out of our top 10, even top 5 really for a very long period of time.
He's still my number 5 on the list.
Yeah. And, yeah, I like it. And you're right. You actually do get him for a value. And I love, when you're making that turn in the second round in a snake draft, the fact that you can get that kind of caliber of a running back paired with a wide receiver, I think that is a deadly place to be. So I like the pick. Stay strong.
Yep. All right. Breakout. What do you got for breakout player?
All right. Breakout is a guy that I have loved for a very long time. He hasn't been able to get it going because he has always been hurt. I think this is finally the year that he is healthy. He is going to make waves. He is one guy that truly can just absolutely shoot up the ranks, and he's a name everyone knows. So it's Dalvin Cook, and people are going to say, what do you mean breakout? But he's never done it before. He's always been hurt, and he's ranked his rookie year. He only got to play 4 games. He ranked 64th, and then last year playing 11 games, he was 31st. So he hasn't even been overall a starting running back in fantasy, and there's been a lot of hype. He's a terrific player, and if he can stay healthy, I think this is a no-brainer. But that's what I'm predicting.
People don't. When you put the Dalvin Cook out there, they're like, oh, he already broke out. No, yeah, he hasn't. He hasn't finished in the top 30. I mean, it's clear. If the guy can stay healthy, he's going to be up there. And I have no hesitation with him. I think he's going to be good. And yeah, that will be a breakout. So I'm completely on board with that. And there was a player I did not pick Aaron Jones for this. I thought about it. People do the same thing on Aaron Jones. Like, oh, he already broke out. But really, did he had a couple good games? If you consider that a breakout, I mean, not really. I mean, I didn't end up picking him for it, but I went elsewhere. But Jones would be another one for me in that spot. But Cook, yeah, and you're getting him at a nice value. I love that because you're getting him. He's going 11th, 12th running back off the board, kind of a thing. So
actually 15th.
Well, really?
Actually, I lied. He is ranked as 15th on Fantasy Pros, and he is going ADP 18th.
That's interesting. He's going down a little bit.
And that is overall. I apologize.
Oh, but still.
Overall. But still, yeah.
That's good value, though, getting him in the end of the second-ish round, kind of.
Right. Let me actually look what running back he is. Okay. So 10th, he's going 11th as a running back.
Oh, I'm looking. Yeah. I pulled up. He's still ahead of Todd Gurley. No, come on, guys. Gurley needs to be higher. Just has to. Okay. All right. My breakout. So what I went with here was a guy. It's hard to have broken out before because he actually was hurt all of last year, but I still think it's a breakout. Darius Geis. I'm on the Darius Geis bandwagon. I really haven't talked much about him. And the reason for that was we had not seen him. I loved Darius Geis last year coming out of LSU. I absolutely loved this guy. I thought he was in line for a huge season. He was not my favorite. You always forget Saquon was a rookie. He just was. Saquon is his own thing. Darius Geis was my favorite rookie that wasn't Saquon. And the injury obviously ended that season before it got going. But we finally got to see him play in the third preseason game. And I liked what I saw. He looks like he's going to be fine. He's going to be healthy. He just showed some good things in that preseason game, which made me like, that's just, his first action in about a year, and he really had no NFL action before that. I'm a fan, and I think it's going to work out. Peterson will be there. Peterson will get work. That's the worry, I guess, if you're looking for guys to have a big season. Peterson's not going away. He's going to be there, but this might be more of a gradual thing with Geis, where it's more of a 50-50 split early on. Peterson gets quite a bit of a workload, and maybe as it goes, Geis gets more and more of the work and, has a big season. So this isn't just because I picked him in our league. I was on Geis before that. The preseason game just showed me, okay, I just didn't have a chance to really talk about it on the podcast because there was nothing to talk about yet.
And actually, it's a very good segue, if you will, because Geis, last year, we were big fans of him. I got burnt by his injury in the Scott Fish Bowl League.
Yeah.
But watching him in the preseason, this past game, the way he runs is so it's so violent, if you will. And it reminds me a lot of my bounce back player, who is going to be Leonard Fournette.
Okay.
So this guy is terrific when he can stay on the field. Last year, he really had a rough time with injuries. His rookie year, when he only played 13 games, he still missed 3 games. His overall rank was 8th as a running back. This next year, he only got to play 8 games out of the top 30, 37th. But they changed things up. You have a different quarterback. And if this guy can stay healthy, and I mean that relatively, I think 12 games or more, he has a real shot at being a top 10 back. And that is crazy to say. He looked good in the preseason. I'm rooting for him because I don't want a guy of this caliber to get cut down by injuries. But yeah, it's a little bit of a rooting one. I don't think he's going to play full season, but I think he'll play enough, and I think he'll be a great bounce back candidate.
He just kind of gets forgotten. We don't talk about him much. No one seems excited about him. He's fallen down to 14th running back in the ranks, 12th in ADP at least. But he's going behind Kerryon Johnson now. And Fournette, last year he was way up there in the ranks. Everyone loved him. He was on a bad team with no quarterback. It's been extremely hard for him to actually be able to show what he could do in 2 years with Blake Bortles as your quarterback, and the teams can stack the box.
Yeah, absolutely. And isn't it crazy too that this is only his 3rd year? Doesn't it feel like he's 40 in the league or something?
It feels like he's been around He had been around forever here.
Yeah, really. I mean, he was, and that's the crazy part. You forget how good he really was coming out and how good he was his rookie year when he was, for the most part, healthy. And he's always had injury concerns even in college. But, I mean, you usually have that one special guy coming out of college. That was Fournette 3 years ago. I mean, it's crazy to think, but I mean, it really was. I mean, you had Gordon, Zeke, Fournette, Saquon last year. I mean, he is one of the special talents that came out in the past 5 years, and people are kind of pushing him aside.
Yeah, and he finally is a quarterback that can at least make the defense honest. I don't think Foles is great, but he can make them honest.
I would agree with that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was afraid you were going to overplay the hand.
They just can make them, like, if all they do is sell out for the run, Foles can at least make them pay.
Yeah,
and he's not. Yeah, it's just
and between him and that's why I said when I watched Geist the other night, like his running style reminded me of him. Fournette makes every single person pay,
right?
And if you're a cornerback and you have to stop him from getting to the end zone, you are going to get buried. Like, this guy is probably the most physical runner I've seen in a very long time. He's a whole lot of fun, but also obviously why it leads to injury.
And so my player here is another one coming back from injury. It's not like he had a bad season last year. He was pretty good until he got hurt at the end. But I'm expecting him to bounce back into the top 3 or 4 of wide receivers. It's Odell Beckham. So he was hurt for most of the 2017 season. Only played 4 games, didn't do much. Last year he did come back and play 12, and he was good. But then he missed those final 4, and he still, kind of just wasn't. It wasn't another Odell season. You know what I mean? It wasn't just what he should be. And part of that is playing with Eli Manning. This is going to be this is the year he comes back and becomes. I think he's going to finish top 3. I'm really believe he's going to be a top 3 wide receiver. I don't know who that means he's going to be in there with. It might be Hopkins, Adams, and Odell. It might be Hopkins, Julio, and Odell. I don't care. Odell's in the top 3. The other guys will have to sort it out. Odell's in there, and he's going to have 100 catches. I think 1,400 yards, 10 touchdowns at least. It's going to be a big season for Odell.
Yeah, I mean, it's Odell. I'm not going to put anything past him. I mean, the guy could play half a season and still probably rank in the top 30. He's that good. Obviously, I love him. I love the situation. I think it's a good pick.
All right, let's keep moving. Deep sleeper. This is an interesting one. There's a million guys you can throw out there because it's just deep sleeper. You can make up any random argument you want.
So
what are we going with?
My problem is always, how deep do you go?
Kind of just however you want to.
All right. I'm going to give an honorable mention to someone before. Last year was James Washington for me.
Yep.
I feel like he's not deep enough this year, but otherwise I would, because I think he was in the top 50 of wide receivers. He just kind of went past that threshold. So I just want to put out there a year early on him, but I still very much believe in James Washington. But who I'm going to pick this time around, it's especially in a PPR league, but I'm going for Cole Beasley. I know it's a weird pick. I've talked to him a little bit, a few times. But especially if you're in a PPR league, this is someone that no one is ever going to pick up right now. I think he's a great pickup if you need some experience off the waiver wire. I think he's going to catch a lot of balls, and I truly don't think that Dallas their intention was never to get him the ball a lot, right? He's a small, undersized receiver that plays out of the slot that you don't think is the big play guy. I think in Buffalo, where it is completely wide open and you have a young quarterback that has struggles with accuracy, I think this is the guy that can get open in short yardage distance that is really going to help him. It is obviously, I'm playing a hunch, to be honest, but every time that he has been put in a position where he gets more of a role, he has succeeded. If he somehow finds the end zone, I think that Cole Beasley could come out of nowhere, because right now he's ranked 85th. Like, no one's talking about him. I get it. He doesn't have the, quote unquote, look of a star wide receiver by any means, but he is a really good football player. And I think he is in a situation where they need him to actually produce. So he is going to be my deep sleeper.
There's no talk about him. He's the 4th Buffalo receiver ranked, but he's not going to finish out the year 4th in catches on that team. There's absolutely no way. And even more in a PPR league, he's even a better sleeper in a PPR league. He's going to rack up catches.
Thank you. I feel much better about it in a PPR, but I still think he holds value. So watch out for him.
Well, I mean, And I've liked Zay Jones. He showed some stuff at the end of last year, but there is no guarantee of anything with him. Same with Robert Foster. He showed a little bit, but there's no guarantee that he could do anything. Beasley's like a known thing. You know what he's going to do. And John Brown even. John Brown, who's ranked much higher than these guys. We've been burned by John Brown before thinking he could do it, and he still hasn't been able to. Beasley, can.
And also, I don't put a whole lot of stock in preseason, obviously, but the things I wanted to see from Cole Beasley when he was out there was one drive where he caught like 4 passes out of 5 from him, just little dink and dunks, and I was like, that's beautiful. That's exactly what I want to see from him. So, obviously it's a deep sleeper, so I have to take a little bit of liberty with what I think, but yes.
All right. So my player is ranked 1 spot ahead of Cole Beasley. Beasley's 85th, mine's 84th, John Ross. So John Ross.
I went deeper.
You did, by 1. So John Ross, I mean, again, say it a million times, he was drafted in the top 10 2 years ago. He just, again, got back from an injury just now.
I know.
It's just, that is obviously the issue. But there is an opportunity right now with A.J. Green out. There is a true opportunity. And with Zach Taylor coming in as the new coach, there is an opportunity, possibly a idea that maybe they use him like they used maybe Brandon Cooks, another speed guy. Maybe they use him like however they do it. You don't know. But the Rams showed an ability to use those kind of guys. If he could go into even that kind of role and just become relevant, and just get him the ball somehow. I feel like they're going to find a way to get him the ball. I don't know what it's not going to be like huge receiving numbers, but it could be on jet sweeps and whatever, little screen passes, get him the ball. This guy is just insanely fast. You just got to get him the ball and see what happens. And he just has not had that opportunity in his 2 years yet. I just feel like there's something there. There's so much talent there, I feel like, and he hasn't got a shot to use it. I feel like Taylor's the guy, he's the coach who's going to try to find a way to use it. And without AJ Green for at least a few weeks, maybe we'll get to see it. I hope so. Because Tyler Boyd is fine. I don't think Tyler Boyd is some amazing wide receiver. Tyler Boyd's he's a good receiver. He's a good number 2 guy. He's not your number 1 really. And if he is for a bit still, I want to see what John Ross can do. And so I'm picking John Ross here. One more time. But I don't have to do anything to get him. So why not try it?
No, and I honestly, as a deep sleeper, I really like the pick. Obviously, it's another guy that has just been hampered by injury, and you haven't really been able to see his full potential. Last year, he played in more games than you realize, but at the same time, he also put up better, I won't say numbers, but the fact that he got into the end zone 7 times last year is mind-boggling to me.
It really is.
Because he really didn't play all that much.
And that is a crazy number when you just don't remember that.
Yeah.
As that being the number.
And I do think that they have to figure out what they have with him. And it's him and Tyler Boyd. That's it. I mean, AJ Green, as much as I love him, it looks like this is the downturn, right? I mean, what are you going to do after this? I mean,
yeah.
So, I really like it. I think if you can get him extremely late, he's probably a waiver pick. And I like that fact. Like, why not? If you're really struggling with wide receivers, I like that one because his upside is very, very high with how fast he is. So, beautiful.
All right. Final category, in which ends up being our most controversial category most years, I feel like. You get some angry people with this one. Because we're not exactly calling this player a bust. I'll say that. We're just saying we're just making a prediction, okay? This is our unexpected bust of the year. So, it doesn't always work out. Last year I picked, it was a terrible pick. Again, not going to talk about it. But people get angry with this, just like they got angry with my bust candidates post I did on Instagram a few weeks back because they feel like I'm calling their player a bust. No, I'm just saying there's some potential there. So this is our unexpected bust 2019, Jeff. Who do you have?
So last year I felt I was correct, but I wasn't able to fully celebrate it because it was an injury to McKinnon.
Yep.
I'm going to go with another high-profile running back this time around, and people are going to absolutely hate me. I get it. And I don't think it won't mean he's not relevant and you don't drop him or anything like that, but I think that Le'Veon Bell is going to be the unexpected bust. And why I say that is because right now he's a top 10 running back, right? I mean, he's going above even Gurley. I don't know how high he's going. I think was he 7th or something like that?
Yeah, he was about 7th, I believe. 6th or 7th yet. Probably 7th.
Okay. So there is a lot of, yeah. Okay. So, yep, he's ADP 7th right now. Right now, you can still get Dalvin Cook, Mixon, Gurley, just below him. And then even after that, you have Damian Williams, Aaron Jones, Fournette. There are guys that you can get. So not only are you picking him high, but what you're doing is you're kind of living off of what he has done before. And it kills me to say this about Le'Veon, but he is going into a situation that is so much worse than what it was in Pittsburgh. We haven't seen him play in a year. I'm glad that probably gets him healthy, but you have to think that he's a little bit rusty. You're not playing with the same guys you played for your entire career. And you're going from Pittsburgh in 2017, when he played with them, was a top, I think they were 7th. They were a top 10 offensive line, the way they ranked it as far as rushing. He is going to a Jets team who last year ranked dead last as an offensive group trying to block for the rush. It doesn't mean they didn't improve, but I guarantee they didn't improve by 10 spots. They're still going to be in the, say, 20 or worse. And that is not where you want to be, especially when you don't really have a quarterback as of yet. I think that he could be a lot better, but I don't think you have a quarterback or an offense as of yet that can take the pressure off of you. You're going to be the person everyone keys on. And yes, you're going to get it thrown to you. You're going to get to run. But are you really going to reproduce the numbers that you did in Pittsburgh when you rushed it 2017, when you rushed it 321 times and led the NFL in rushing attempts, and on top of that, you had 85 receptions before it was even fashionable? I don't know if you're going to reach those numbers, and you're on a much worse team. Mm-hmm. I think and yes, obviously, he did extremely well, and he was ranked 2nd overall. And then the year before that, he was 5th overall. But you pair all that together, and you're still picking him in the first round. I think that he is going to be considered a bust after the fact, where you're like, man, I could have gotten 3 other guys before I got him, where he actually ends up. I don't know. I'm rooting for him, but at the same time, if I'm reading the signs, if I'm reading the tea leaves right now, I'm saying this guy signed up for a big disappointment.
I have not found myself drafting him.
I haven't drafted him in one place yet.
I never have, and we did how many relegation leagues, and I couldn't ever find myself picking him. Every time he would come up, if it's in that spot in the first round, I went wide receiver. Every single time. There's something about it that worries me, too. I didn't pick him for this, but it worries me. He probably would be my number 2 pick right here. I'm not saying I don't know if he's going to bust. It's just I have too much worry and hesitation to take him.
And I get it. I know why people are immediately going to have that knee-jerk reaction to say, what in the world are you talking about, Jeff? Because if you look at where he's ranked as far as running back, remember he's always been in Pittsburgh, who runs the ball incredibly well. We saw what James Conner was able to do, just plug and play, and he was amazing last year, right? 14th, he was okay. 2nd, 45th when he got hurt. He only played 6 games, and then 5th and 2nd. So he has always been up there. So I get it. People do not want to bet against him because of how good he has been. But look at the numbers and then look at where the Jets are right now. Maybe they will improve, and maybe in the future he will get back to that place, but I don't think this is the year.
So my bust, people might be angry about this one too. It's how it works. It's James Conner.
Oh, look at that. All right. Well, I wish I would have known that. I would have talked so highly of the Pittsburgh offensive line.
No. That's part of it though, is I'm not necessarily sure that it's just James Conner himself.
I gotcha.
You know what I mean? I think you can plug in anybody, like you just said. You can plug it. You plugged in James Conner, and he had a lot of very good weeks. He had 5 good weeks. That's it, though, Jeff. He had 5. I'll give him a 6. I'll give him a 6 because of his touchdown. So he had 6 good weeks. I believe if you plug Jalen Samuels in there, I believe if you plug Benny Snell Jr. in there, they're both going to produce as well. So anything that James Conner doesn't do here, if he gets hurt, if it's not happening right away, I mean, I can definitely see him not living up to the rank. So if you look at his 6, I'm giving him a 6 good game. So he had 5 games over 100 yards. rushing, which were very good games. And in 4 of those, he had 2 touchdowns. So it really spiked his season. With those, 4 games over 100 yards with 2 touchdowns, that was huge. The other one, he had over 100 yards. He did catch a ball for a touchdown. And then the other good game was a 15 carry, 60 yard, but 2 touchdown game. Other than that, it was 8 for 17. It was 15 for 61. It was 9 for 19. It was 9 for 25. It was 13 for 53, and it was 14 for 64. That's a lot of bad weeks. It's a lot of very average weeks. And, I mean, there is a chance, obviously, I rank him. I still have him ranked like 9th or 10th. He can be very good, but there's a real possibility if he's not quite producing or if he gets hurt again, somebody else, Samuels, Snell, jumps in there. They don't give up the job. And it could be as easy as that. And so James Conner, my unexpected bust. He's another one I haven't found myself drafting. I can't do it. I would rather have other players around there. So James Conner.
Actually, yeah. I find it hard. I like the argument that if he gets hurt, he might not get it back. I could also see it where this is the first time where they don't go for a complete primary back like they have in the past with Le'Veon and so on. And to your point, just to lock it down, you kind of went over James Conner's numbers and how they were good and also you were sprinkling bad. But if you look at Jalen Samuels when he played, and just to your point of you plug and play someone and they're going to be good, you look at the 3 games where he was the primary back from weeks 11 to 13, and the numbers are pretty good. I mean, the first game is whatever. It was only 11 rushes, 28 yards, but he also got 7 catches for 64 yards, so it saves it for that. Yeah. Then the next game against New England, nonetheless, 19 carries for 142 yards, and then 2 catches for 30. And then the next game he scored, 53 yards with a couple of catches and a touchdown. Whoever they put in there did well. Mm-hmm. And also, they're not getting Le'Veon carries, right? They're not. No. You saw that 19 was a lot. And, that would be great to say that everyone's going to at least get 20 touches, but we don't really know that yet. And that's why Jalen Samuels is such I think a great pick. I've grabbed him, with like the last pick of a lot of drafts because he's he was a tight end converted, right? So he's a very talented guy catching the ball as well. I could see a world where they use them both right away.
Yep. I picked him up in our league the other night. I feel good about that pick. He's a good late round guy to get. But all right, that's going to do it for our preseason awards. Sure to send us your hate if you have any. That's fine. We're okay with it. But we'll be back tomorrow with our mailbag episodes. We answer all your questions. Talk to you guys then.